All right, another edition here of Almost Football, brought to you by FanDuel. Of course, FanDuel, the number one place to bet on sports right now. It is feast week, which you could argue, you could make a strong case that this is the number one week to bet on sports. You've got the NFL, you've got the NHL, you've got the NBA. I think maybe the NBA Cup still going on. Do we still believe in that as a product? Are we still pretending that that's something we enjoy? Maybe. And if so, you can probably bet on it on FanDuel. They've got college football, college basketball, of course, this week. And even, I don't know, can you bet on college volleyball? I know what's going on. I see a million complaints about it right now. People apparently aren't allowed to cheer at college volleyball events anymore. So if you can bet on it, you can bet on it on FanDuel, the number one place to bet on sports. Now, you might, if you're on the YouTube, you've already noticed it's just me right now. I know on the first episode, we ever recorded this, if you were a loyal fan, if you were there for day one, you will remember I said that I brought on Joey Bush. I brought on Zach House in here to keep this from being just the Grant Allen schizophrenia show, to keep this from just being a god-awful open mic stand-up where I only talk about sports. And yet, lo and behold, we're here right now. And it's just me yelling in my house to no one. So we're going to find out a lot about ourselves during this. If you get to the end of this, Lord bless you. And maybe I do a good job. I don't know. We can only tell. I'm a minute and 29 into this, and it's something I've dreaded for a while. We did the solo pod once. I think it went okay. Did anyone listen to it back in the ITK days? I have no idea. So, but we're going to test it out now on the biggest stage. But it's okay. The good news is that we got a lot to talk about. We are knee deep now into feast week, and that's mainly why I'm not just packing it up and saying no pod this week. All right, a lot of people would have probably said no. A lot of people would have probably just been, hey, we'll just move on. All right, the fans, they'll survive. They'll still be there after this week, which, I think you guys still deserve it no matter what. All right, if it's even, if it's like a 6 out of 10, because it's just me here today, instead of maybe like a good 8 out of 10 episode. That's probably the peak of this show. 8 out of 10 is probably generous, but you understand the point that I'm wanting to give us something anyway, because it is feast week, which I think is my favorite week of the year. I'm going to say in a terms of a total combination of sports, you have everything you've ever wanted right now. And it's all day. It's not just like only from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., the usual sport viewing hours. It's all day. You're at work, throw it on during lunch, throw it on when you're in the break room. You're on your way to work in certain parts of this country. It's already started. There's sports on everywhere. You cannot open YouTube TV this week without seeing some kind of sporting event. That's perfect. And then also it's intertwined with the best eating week of all time. I'm a huge Thanksgiving guy, just because it's all my favorite things, and maybe a lot of it is because there's so much sports going on is why I'm a big Thanksgiving guy, but also you got your family, you got all the food you've ever wanted during the week. And it's like, it's embraced to be a couch potato right now. It's embraced to, go back for seconds. Get that second slice of pie, man. This is the week where we embrace it as a country, and I think that's kind of beautiful. I tweeted out even earlier this week, look, we can all be honest with each other right now. This probably isn't the week you're going to get back into shape. It's just probably not going to happen. Like how many of you are staring down the barrel of this week and been like, hey, you know what? Now's the good time to start the ketogenic diet. It's probably not the best time. Like, I don't know. I think December 1st is Monday. Like, that's probably a way better time. You get it all out of your system. All right. This week, embrace it. All right. Just go eat the food you want. Have a drink with your friend or in your family. All right. Like it's going to change nothing. Stay home and watch the Maui Invitational instead of, and what's one, walk around the neighborhood going to change? Probably not. I'm a big fan of compound interest. This one small time, probably not going to change a lot. Does overtime make a big deal? 100%. But this week, just stay home and watch the Players era. You got Gonzaga, Alabama on right now. You can't miss that. Unless maybe you already did, because this is not live. But you get my point. Let's all embrace Feast Week, my favorite week of the year. So far, Feast Week, it's in a weird spot. The week has changed a lot. I think Feast Week, it used to be about the Maui Invitational, which is kind of my darling. It feels like it's always been. Last year, we had what many have been saying was potentially the best Maui Invitational of all time. It was so many top tier teams, multiple championship contenders. And even if you weren't a championship contender, you made it interesting. You were a team like Colorado who opened up the Maui Invitational by beating UConn, right? And now it's like we've just thrown the Maui Invitational out the window. It's like we forgot that what makes college basketball great is that you have these great teams that for some reason just decide to pack up, go to Maui, and play each other in a high school gym. Like, does it make a lot of sense? No, but are college sports supposed to make a lot of sense? No, either. Like, that's what makes them so great. Like, I can go and explain to you that the NBA system is great or that the NFL system is great and that all these teams can beat each other. But why we end up liking college sports is just because they make no sense, right? And yeah, like Dan Hurley, it doesn't probably make sense for you to travel all 4 time zones over to play Colorado in a high school gym when you could go to the Players Era or these other tournaments, make NIL cash. But hey, let's throw the common sense out the window. It's college sports. It's never been about common sense. It's been about just embracing the craziness, embracing the fun of it. I think it's NIL is killing the Maui, honestly, to its main point. I think if you threw up enough money, Dan Hurley would take his thoughts back and be like, actually, we have fully bought back into the Maui Invitational. He would totally change his mind. But now when he's like, I can go over to the Sun, the Mohegan Sun Casino and play, who knows, like pick any team ever. He can play Michigan or something for some NIL cash. There's only 2 games and they can go back home. He's probably going to take it. So I think we as a whole, with the Maui Invitational, we need to just go back to what is sacred. All right. We need to save it. We need to put some funding together. I don't know where the money is coming from, but it has to start somewhere to save the Maui Invitational. It's got to be NIL. And I don't want to live in a college basketball world where they take away the Maui Invitational. I'll still watch. I'll be honest. I'm not going to fully quit on college basketball if they get away the Maui, but it's not going to feel the same. You know, it didn't feel the same last year without Bill Walton, but I still enjoyed the basketball. Right? It can change slightly. We just have to have it. And let's have it be the elite teams as well, you know. So I'm not a political guy, but if your politics are, I'm bringing back the Maui Invitational, I'm going to be your number one guy. Like if your main thing is I'm going to save the Maui Invitational, I'm going to restore what it should be, is the top teams in this country competing in a high school gym with a paint that is colored like flowers, I'm your guy. I'm in. I'm bought into it. How do we save it? I have no idea, but we have to save the Maui Invitational. Even this week, there's not. They're complaining that there's these teams, you know, that aren't good. You know, it's like, why are we watching Seton Hall? Why are we watching NC State? And then, hey, you get your magic. All right. A lot of you guys have been complaining NIL has gotten rid of the underdog. All right. Like, we used to have all these great upsets in college basketball. First 2 NIL tournaments show up and it's straight chalk. And it's only gotten chalkier until the Maui Invitational. This year, ranked teams while playing unranked teams. We're at 96-0. That's 96 straight victories until Seton Hall beats the North Carolina State Wolfpack in the Maui Invitational. Thank you, Maui, for saving basketball. And they still want to get rid of you. How dare they? I would never do that. I wouldn't get rid of you, Maui Invitational. And I know that Maui Invitational isn't listening to this because it's just me yelling in my house again. But I'm here to save the Maui Invitational as well. I'm going to be enjoying it. There's been a lot of great hoops on as well. You know, you had Iowa State, St. John's. Today was an awesome game, but nothing was better. Nothing was more just, we are so back, feast week is here, than what happened at Creighton Baylor today, which it turned out to be a phenomenal game as well. I know some of us Iowa fans out there had some personal grievances that were being aired out during this game. I don't know if I'm pro, like, hey, this kid got, you know, they made a decision to leave Iowa, you know, Fran or whatnot. So now we need to make them our biggest enemy. I don't know if that's like the best idea anyone's ever had. Like, I don't know if just because a guy like Josh Dix left Iowa because the guy who recruited him there left. And then now he's struggling a little bit at Creighton, so we're all jumping on him. I don't know if that's the best thing that's ever happened. I don't know. I'm all for rivalries or whatnot, but I don't know if it's like should be the focal point of my day is like rooting against Owen Freeman. Like, I understand he's struggling out there, like, but let's not all act like if he decided to come back, we wouldn't have been like, oh yeah, he's like we wouldn't have all been on his side. So I don't know if that's kind of how everyone else is viewing it. Maybe I'm the only one. But what I'm getting at here with Creighton Baylor was that if you love local radio calls, which I know the walk-on fan base does as much as we hype up Gary Dolphin and Pat Anger, you're going to love this. This was from, I believe, the local broadcast. I don't know what. This is the Omaha broadcast for the Creighton home broadcast of Creighton Baylor. It's tight game in the second half. The score is 72-66. Take it away inside of Creighton versus Baylor right now.
Missed the dunk and a fucking foul. What are you talking about? That was 2 seconds after the play ended. Carr driving. He's outside the circle. He's outside the circle and he's set. He was outside the circle and he was set. Brett Smith blew it. He was outside the restricted area. He was straight up and down. He was set like the statue sitting out in front of New York, and they called that. That's an absolutely horse crap call. In a game that's been played out like this. Unbelievable. Bailout call by an incompetent referee.
I just want to know how many, I'll be honest, I don't listen to the Creighton home broadcast ever. If Creighton's on, I'm watching on FS1. Maybe I should be tuned into the Creighton local home broadcast, but I just want to know, why does he have all these lines ready? Like he's got one-liners like he's Johnny Dangerfield, right? Like, what did he say? He had his feet set like the Statue of Liberty outside Hello, New York City. Was that his official line? Got the king of the one-liners out there in Omaha. That was incredible. That's a great call. People are saying journalism's dead. I think this is evidence that it's never been more alive. Like, how do we know that he's not like, I like the Gus Johnsons of the world. Okay. I like, who is it? Greg McElroy and Sean McDonough, who do the ABC call. I think they do a good job. You cannot replace the passion of the home caller. And look, Gary Dolphin is a all-class pro. But wouldn't you just love to see him just like a lot of people were upset about the officiating versus USC. Wouldn't you love to have just seen him just go off like that in the middle of the call? Who's the Vikings play-by-play announcer? I know there's some Vikings fans that listen to this that he just he has never filtered himself one time. I would like to see those two guys in the booth together. But let's see. Do we have anything else saving the Maui? I know we have to. That's all I'm going to say about Feast Week. And look, I get it's a tall task. I know, like, I also don't want to go travel 4 time zones to go deep sea fishing with Jay Billis, but someone has to do it. If that's the one sacrifice to get good teams back into the Maui Invitational, to get it back to being the primetime event of Thanksgiving, of Feast Week, then okay, like someone's got to go deep sea fishing with Jay Billis. I don't know who it is, but someone's got to do it. Let's talk about football, though, because this is almost football. And we're in rivalry week, game 12. And I'll be honest, I'm looking at the spreads. Last week, we didn't have a ton of chaos. This week, I'm thinking all the dogs. I think dogs will be barking. I'm very likely going to miss the Nebraska preview. I don't think there's a little wink, wink, see who actually listens to this, but I think I'm going to be on a flight. I'm not sure. So I'll send out the actual picks for awards winners, but I'm thinking underdogs. Like, you're just telling me that Mississippi State's randomly a touchdown underdog to Ole Miss, who's the number 6 team in the country. Oh, yeah, they're just handing it to you. Sure. Oh, yeah, you're telling me that Texas A&M, who's undefeated, is just a 2.5-point favorite over Texas? They just love you. They're just handing it to you. I think if you trust the dogs this week, I think you will be happy. I'll share some Iowa-specific thoughts here in a little bit, but we're going to talk. I know I jumped to rivalry week because it's Monday or Tuesday as you're listening to this right now, but we got to go over what happened over the weekend. And in the Big Ten, the main storyline was Oregon handling USC. I think, if you're an Iowa fan, we watch both these teams play. And I was not super confident with them covering a double-digit spread, which it got up to. But I felt like Oregon was the better team when we were playing them. I felt like Oregon was less prone to mistakes. I thought Oregon was outside of, the 2 USC receivers were incredible. I feel like once Oregon got their guys, they were just going to be the better team. They had all the athletes as well, and they just seemed more physical. And I think as this game went on, you were able to tell that as well. It seemed like, and USC does still make a bunch of stellar plays. I think USC is a decent team, but when it just came to the game wearing on, the more plays you saw, the more it became evident, like, okay, Oregon is just going to be the better team. And, you didn't have to listen to this show to know that, hey, the more football happens, the more the better team's going to actually prevail. There's a reason why this game isn't just one possession. We play for an hour for a reason. And Oregon just over time weighed on them. Like a classic Big Ten matchup. A team just showing up, being more physical, running the rock. And it's just what we got. I don't even know what to tell. This is hard solo, guys. I'll be honest. I don't love the solo pod. I do, as much as I want to give Oregon a lot of credit because they pretty much locked up a playoff spot. I know they go to Washington this week, which is, look, I don't want to say you can overlook a rival, but like they're basically in. And that going to Washington is never easy. I know they just lost to Wisconsin, so a lot of people are going to give up on them, but I don't know. I wouldn't want to be going to Washington right now if I was Oregon. And I think they know that. I think they know that as well. Like Washington has the circle. They want to play spoiler. I don't even know how much they can really spoil because I think the Big Ten championship is going to be pretty much locked up. But hey, why not? Give it a shot. Go beat them. Hanging over their head. I do want to talk a little bit about USC, though, because I am starting to worry that, I've been strongly I don't know if it's like anti-Lincoln Riley. I've just kind of opposed Lincoln Riley. I don't know. There's something about what was going on at Oklahoma, the way that those seasons panned out. So then he goes to USC and like Alex Grinch is the worst coordinator, defensive coordinator in the sport. And he takes a lot of the blame for it. But now I'm starting to worry as, USC's season, I think they're a solid team. They lost to Illinois. They probably won back. But I look at some of these athletes they get. Like a Jacoby Lane is incredible. And he's not even the best receiver on the team. Right? Like Mekhi Lemon is such a stud. And, if Mayava out there, with the recruiting class coming in, I might want to buy, it's not even a super low stock. Buying USC stock might be good. Like over the next 4 years, the USC stock might be great. And I know people have been saying, what if Lincoln Riley wants to leave? Is he a target for some of these jobs? We'll get to that when we get there. But with the information I know right now, with the insane buyout that USC has for him, I'm going to be investing in some USC stuff. Like I think USC is soon to be potentially a top Big Ten team. Is that crazy to admit? It could be. I'm not a big bowl prediction guy, but it doesn't even feel that bold. Like number one recruiting class coming up. Young guys on this team seem good. It seems like the mentality of Lincoln Riley teams, the mentality of USC is quickly changing. And hey, maybe it just credit to the Big Ten for that. They were like, hey, we got to go do this to go play in the Big Ten. Or maybe they just are viewing it from a national perspective. I don't know. But I'm going to give some credit to USC as well in this loss. Not quite Ryan Russillo Team of the Week statement loss level because Oregon it felt like control the vast majority of the game and fully cemented their spot as a playoff team. But still going to give credit where credit is due. Now, we have the 3 Big Ten teams that are locked up. Oregon, USC, and Indiana. However, I'm going to need to just see Ohio State beat Michigan before we completely eliminate Michigan. You can't say no to Michigan if they do beat Ohio State. It's going to be hard to say no to them. Now, it does damage a little bit of Ohio State's resume. It'll be interesting to see what the committee does. But, did you guys see the spread? It's 9.5. It's not great at the big house. I don't know, guys. I've said this 4 weeks in a row. Like we keep assuming Ohio State's going to beat them, and we've done that 4 years in a row, and then they never do. They haven't done it, right? So I'm just going to need to see Ohio State beat Michigan first. Which I think they should. I think they're a better team. I think they're probably the best team in the country. Ohio State, that is. But we just got to see it first. All right, I'm not going to fall for this again where I'm like, oh, Ohio State minus 21, lock of the week. Michigan's look horrible. And then they go out there and it's 10-7 in the fourth quarter. I'm like, what's happening? How is this happening again? How is Ohio State fumbling this game? Like, I just need to see it once. Now, with that being said, are we 100% confident Ryan Dace is going to stick to the game plan this year? Because he never has. Like, they tried to do Michigan's game to them, and it does not work. We'll see what happens. Also, like Ohio State, a lot of injuries right now. Jeremiah Smith banged up. Cardell Tate banged up. Like they're not going to be perfectly healthy. And like obviously they want to go beat Michigan too, but I'll be curious. Like they'll be forced with the decision of how hard they want to play those guys, knowing that they can lose and still go to the playoff pretty easily. So that will be interesting to see what happens there. I think we got to talk about it now. Then we got to talk about a little bit of Iowa, Michigan State. Look, covered most of it on the pod on Sunday, and then I'm sure on Taglines, which you probably listened to before this on the Patreon. We'll probably talk about it more as well. A lot of people, when it comes to Iowa, talk about should we keep scheduling Iowa State, and I think there's arguments to all of that. Personally, I think we can only talk about that if it's a year where we beat them. Like, let's say we beat them next year. From that weekend in September to the next one, we can be on the page of let's move on to something else. But until then, I think it's just weird to be like, oh, we got to cancel it as that year's loser. Like, I don't know if that's the direction I want to go with that conversation. I also think if we're heading towards a college football playoff world where it's going to be like, oh, you have to play another Power 4 opponent. Iowa State is not the worst team to schedule of all time. Like, who would you rather want? Iowa versus Georgia every year? Like, I will take Iowa State then, and it makes sense. This is not the point of this. What I'm saying, though, is that we really should be having the question of stop scheduling Michigan State ever. Because that game is a disaster every single time we've played them for the past, 10 years. Between the Big Ten Championship in 2015, between the Cooper DeJean punt return, wherein Cade McNamara tears his ACL in the north end zone. And then there's last year where we go to their place and just get completely housed. What felt like out of nowhere, but was probably a little bit deserved. And then this year, a Michigan State team that is and with all due respect, not very good. With all due respect, has been absolutely atrocious. Even like you could hear during the broadcast, Mark throws that interception. Mark gets picked off. And the announcers are like stunned that Michigan State's defense was able to do anything productive. Like, I think the direct quote was from the guy who was like, and we're going to have to look back for the stat books for a long time to see when Michigan State last had an interception. Like, they were just stunned that when anything good happened for Michigan State in this game. And I don't know if that was maybe they were like high on Iowa or they were that low on Michigan State. I'm going to take this a little bit of both just for my own ego. But regardless, it's not an excuse to have this kind of game happen against Michigan State. And I'm going to put a little bit of just like the voodoo on it. I'm like a full conspiracy theorist guy with this, where like sometimes I just think that like something maybe weird was just going on in the building. I don't know. Maybe like someone's like a couple key players like had weird things with the girlfriends or something this week. Like, I don't know. So something just seemed off. And I can't describe it on an X's and O level. Like I'm sure there's a explanation for that, but like, we're all human. We're all a lot of us were in college at some point, like weird things happen. You're just off for a week sometimes. And luckily it was against Michigan State. And that's kind of my reasoning for it. I don't know if it's kind of a look ahead spot just because Nebraska's a trophy game, but I don't know if it's that much of a look ahead just because Iowa and Nebraska are both not sniffing the playoffs right now, and we're both not ranked. So it's kind of interesting. But if you had asked me what happened against Michigan State, I would just say probably life just happened. Probably just like someone had like a final, not a final exam, but like it's probably some kind of midterms wrapping up still. Someone had an exam. Like there was probably just weird stuff going on. I don't know. It's probably just life. Was there like a bunch of snow in Iowa City? Kept people sleepy? I don't know. But that would be my explanation. I don't know. And also I think, and I'll get into this a little bit more as I share some Nebraska thoughts, that TJ Hall might have made a big difference in this game. Or his not being active made a big difference. Now, this would be a good transition to the game versus Nebraska this week. I don't know. Here's my thoughts on it. Are we 9-10 versus Nebraska in the last 10 games? Yes. The one loss that happened in there was a game where we were favored, I think, by 10 points at home. And it seems like every time we're expected to do, like, when I just think about that game, this is the first time since that we were probably expected to do really well. And I know we had teams that were 9-2 at that point, but even then, what was the line still? Like, it would be like Nebraska -1. Iowa -1.5, my Iowa -2. Like, it was never a large spread. And I'm not saying that -6.5 is a large spread, but it started at 4.5, and it's just gone up and up and up. And part of that's due to Nebraska has a backup quarterback. And I get that to an extent, but it worries me that now the pressure's on a little bit of like, well, I was just clearly like a lot of people are just like, I was a better team. And I think we're a better team as well. But I just, this game's been weird. It's a lot of games by a field goal. I expect Iowa to win this game, but I mean, I don't know. I would be lying if I said I was kind of surprised by -7. And like, who knows? Maybe we go out there and we cover it with ease. But if I'm looking at the formula of that game where we were favored by a lot of points, and what happened when we lost was we had, high expectations. Nebraska, low expectations. And then also, key thing, Cooper Jean gets hurt in that game. Guy playing corner for us. And I don't know if I'm not giving a total comp like Cooper Jean for TJ Hall, but it's still star corner gets hurt. And then I just over the top the whole game. They're just picking on people. So some concerns there, but I don't know. I think what makes me feel a little bit better is that Nebraska has really struggled to stop the run this year. And what do we do best right now is run, especially with Mark right now. We have a unique opportunity to potentially take advantage of it. But I think also Nebraska at the same time, it's like we're just going to run it a bunch too. Emma Johnson's a great player. And I think it'll be an interesting game. I don't love the total. I think 40 might be a little I don't know. I guess it's not that crazy when you think about it. Like, I could see a 23-20 kind of game, a 25-20. I don't even think that's that crazy. It's been a lot of Iowa's games this year have been kind of like that. So maybe sneaky take the over when no one expects it. But those are kind of my Iowaisms. I'll get back to that more probably later this week. Hopefully I'm able to make it. But in case not, there's that. The SEC kind of took some time off this week. I'm not a huge I'm not a defender of the SEC by any means, right? But I do think I think the SEC could save itself a lot of trouble by just moving this pseudo bye week where their teams are playing the Citadel, they're playing Mercer in week 11, where every other conference is having these like big time conference games. We're still deciding who can be in the conference championship. If they just move those to the beginning of the season, I don't think anyone cares. I don't think it's a huge difference that the SEC played 8 conference games for a while compared to everyone else playing 9, and now they're going up to 9 anyway. I don't think it's a big difference. I just think it's a timing thing. I think they could if this game for the SEC was moved to September 1st, first or second week of the season, it's not a big deal. I don't think anyone complains at all. But because it's in November and it's a weird spot, and you're watching your team grind out a game versus Michigan State, and then you turn around and you're like, well, I think we could have beat the Citadel too. I understand where that complaint comes from. But in terms of just the overall resume, I don't think it makes a huge difference. But because the SEC didn't give us a ton, like their game was supposed to be Tennessee versus Florida, and that was over in about 10 seconds, 30 seconds maybe. Like, that was all sorts of bad. It was kind of sad seeing the Swamp like that. I like the Swamp a lot. I view it as a gritty building, a hard place to play, and to see what it looked like on Saturday for what was a big game, like people there early and then quickly exited. It was sad. I did not enjoy seeing that. It's like there's teams in football and in basketball that you just kind of respect in any sport, really. I don't know why I just limited it to those two, but there's teams that you go and you see and you respect, and maybe they're not your team, but you're just like, hey, you know what? I kind of respect quality sometimes. I respect the consistency. And you see them bow out in the first round of the playoffs. You see them miss the playoffs or something. You're like, hey, I'm a little upset by this. Like, I'm insulted. Like, what happened? And that's how I felt about the Swamp showing up this weekend. But I want to talk a little bit instead, if we're going over the SEC, they're playoff contenders. Right now, I have 5, I think. I think there's 4 guarantees, 5 questions. Now, Georgia is currently, I think, in the best spot because they are, in my opinion, the best team in the SEC right now. I think I know Texas A&M is undefeated, but tell you what, I would take Georgia against them, and that's the most like SEC argument I can make is a hypothetical game. I would take Georgia. All right. Does all the evidence point to A&M right now in terms of record? Yes. Would I still take Georgia over them? Yes, and that's about as SEC as I can get. they are also in a spot where they are probably going to miss the SEC championship game. Texas has to beat Texas A&M for them to get to the SEC championship game. And I think Georgia is going to be rooting hard for Texas A&M. You get the bye, and I know like they probably want the 1 seed, but a lot of times, and we've seen the bracket simulations, it's probably better to sit at home and they'll still get a bye and probably play a worse team, right? So I don't know if Georgia necessarily is like, and I know I saw Booger McFarland was saying that like, oh, like these people, the SEC championship really means a lot to them. They still want to go win that. And I get it, but are they going to be like, I just think this situation is so different than like, oh yeah, they had the like they lose in week 12 to Georgia Tech to miss the SEC championship. Then it's like, okay, we lost to Alabama in week 5. We've been perfect ever since. And then the math wasn't there for us to make the SEC championship. And then we go prove to the world that we're the best team, or that we go prove to the world that we can win a national championship because we had a month of rest. And then we got to watch our two opponents play each other. I don't know if you really had to ask them, does that sound that bad? So I have Georgia there. I think A&M's in no matter what, even if they lost to Texas. Ole Miss. When was the last time you watched them play? I feel like they haven't played anyone in 2 months, but they're 10-1, right? And that 10-1 is going to be pretty good. Even if they lose to Mississippi State, I think 10-2, they're in. Oklahoma. They've been a kind of, I don't know if like a huge surprise, but 9-2 right now. They're I don't know if they're going to win their game this week. I don't even know who it's against, but that should tell you enough that they're probably going to win it anyway. And then Bama, as the 5th team, is, I think, in a maybe spot. And I say that because they are 8-2 right now. They are 9-2 is their record right now. That is how math works. I think them losing to Auburn is not out of the picture. Auburn at home. Auburn's defense is good, guys. Auburn defense is good. And of the contending teams that I would say can win a national championship, Alabama is easily the most volatile. Alabama is easily the most likely to randomly lose to a team that they shouldn't. And this could easily be it if I'm just circling spots. Because, that Auburn team, they still don't have, look, there's no coach there. I get it. It's tough out there. But they still want to beat Alabama, right? I still believe that in my heart, that they're still going to be fired up to go out there. And look, I think, the coaching staff is probably in the same boat as well. I don't know why anyone would want to lose to Alabama. I don't think it makes any sense. It's going to be a weird game. I saw the spread. It's not great either. If you're an Alabama fan, I would be a little bit nervous. Only 6.5 at Auburn. Not great. Auburn too. This is a game to go to a bowl game. Like there is a ton on the line for this, more than just, I would just want to beat them. Like there's a lot at hand. So, but regardless, if Alabama loses this game, they will have easily the 2 worst losses of any of the 10-2, the 9-3 teams. Right? It's not even like a Texas where you can argue maybe a little bit like, okay, they lost to Ohio State in week 1. And Ohio State has now been the number 1 team for what, like 10 weeks in a row, 11 weeks in a row. In terms of actual games, it's been even more. But like, it would then be their losses are Florida State, who I get that it was early in the season, week 1, but it's like, how much credit can you really get? Because Florida State has been so bad this year since that Alabama game. And then you've also got Oklahoma on there, but then 6-6 Auburn doesn't help. So I think Bama could eliminate themselves potentially from this. And that is probably a scary scenario because then it's like, who else are you going to really force in it? I don't know. I don't know the answers to that. But if you were asking me if that 9-3 resume is playoff worthy, I'd probably say no, if I'm being honest. I think if the logo was different, it wouldn't even be a question. But if I look at that resume and Auburn beats Alabama, I would probably say no. It's a scary reality. Then who do they put in? Obviously, like, okay, you would have potentially Vanderbilt. And I think Vanderbilt is going to lose to Tennessee. So this could be solved by itself. But if Vandy ends up 10-2, their strength of schedule is 25. Like they're definitely there in consideration. They could easily fit in and be 5th. I actually think they 100% would get into the conversation. They would they jump Oregon? I'm not sure. Or if Oregon was also 10-2 after losing to Washington, maybe just because of like recency bias. But I have potentially think like the way the committee works, like, yeah, they would probably be willing to jump Vandy over 11-1 BYU, over 10-2 Vandy over an 11-1 BYU. Do I think it's fair? No, but I just think that's what they would do. It's a TV show. Look, and they know that Diego Pavia is TV worthy, whether you like it or not. That's just how it all works. Have I talked about all of them enough? Maybe not. There is a scenario where they try and force the 9-3 team in. It is definitely there. Like, let's say Oregon loses. They go 10-2. There's going to be arguments like, oh, they lost to Washington, should come out. But then even still, I'm thinking Washington and Indiana are so much better losses than FSU and then for Texas, like Florida. I just don't understand the argument really necessarily there. Someone's going to get their heart broken, though. And it's probably a 11-1 ACC team, or a 10-2 ACC team, an 11-1 BYU. I would have trouble. I would have maybe some trouble with, like, do I think BYU is amazing? This is good transition to our Big 12, I guess, because most of it's centered around BYU. Do I think BYU is amazing? I think they're fine. I think you don't get to 10-1, or if they go 11-1 by mistake. But like I know what I saw against Texas Tech. Like, it was a manhandling. They weren't particularly close, but at the same time, 11-1's 11-1, and it would be. I get that Texas and Alabama would be favored over BYU, but at some point, like, are we just going to tell BYU their whole season doesn't matter? I don't know. I think it's just kind of a weird spot that we put college football in, where we do these kind of things. Like, BYU strength of schedule on Sargon is still 36. It's not like it's 85, like some people talk about it, right? Like, I think that's decent. And BYU, to the credit, even the past 2 years, they have a lot of spots on their schedule where it's kind of a trap line. You know, it's like, okay, they're only 2-point favorites on the road versus a ranked team, and then they go in there and handle business the whole game. And it's not even close. Like, that happened this weekend. You know, since he's a 2.5-point dog to them, then like BYU just goes and adds a ranked win now to their schedule. They dominated the whole game completely. So I think I'm higher on BYU than other teams. And look, like, maybe they just go get bounced in the playoff. But until we see them actually just completely prove that they can't handle, you know, like a team like Oregon, like, I think you just have to give them a chance. And maybe this year they do get a chance and they just get completely eliminated. But I think once you're talking, like, I don't think the Big 12 is even as bad as people say it is. Do I think it's as good as the Big 10 or the SEC? No, but I don't think it's this Division II conference that some people talk about. Like I think if they go 11-1 and they lose to Texas Tech twice, it would be hard for me to just say no to them. You know, like, they lose in the Big 12 championship again to Texas Tech, and even if it's close, it could be a deafening thing where they're like, oh, we just don't want to see BYU play Texas Tech again. We've had this decided multiple times, but it's hard for me to swallow that. Maybe, I guess, I don't know. It's a tough pill to swallow there, and I don't even know why. I'm not this like overly BYU guy. I'm just trying to fight for the little guys out there. You know, I'm their defender. But yeah, I gotta put some respect on BYU. Also, that Utah win, Utah is highly rated. And, you know, if you look at the starting, Utah's 13, right? Utah is up there for sure. And as much as respect as Utah keeps getting, it feels like that win on BYU's resume isn't doing anything more. So I don't know. It's a tough world. It's not, like I said, someone's getting their heart broken. Is it probably BYU? Yes. But I don't know if it's right. And nothing would be more unjust than what is potentially going on in the ACC. Now, I'm not a big fan of the ACC as a like, I can make some arguments for the Big 12 for sure right now. I don't know where an argument starts with the ACC being a deep conference, because outside of Miami beat Notre Dame, I have no arguments at all. I don't know. I don't even know where else to go, because even Miami, that loss to Louisville is absolutely god awful. People are using it as a like detriment to JMU, which I don't know if is super necessary. But then it's also like we just kind of ignore it on Miami's resume, or maybe I'm just in the wrong circles. But I think that's kind of weird. And the real issue is, like, a lot of the projections have Miami in, but there's a very real chance that Miami doesn't even make it into the conference championship game. It needs a lot of work. Like, SMU and Virginia, more likely not, will be in the conference championship game. Now, if Virginia loses, obviously Miami's going to go. But you also got to guarantee a Miami win. Like they need help a lot, and they got to handle their own business. So it's not like this foregone conclusion that Miami's going to go win the ACC. And then I don't think they're going to put 2 teams in from the ACC either. So I think, honestly, if I had to guess right now, I would say SMU wins the ACC, because I don't know if they're going to get the chaos that they need to keep Virginia out and to keep SMU out of the ACC championship. Even though I think Miami is better than both those teams, I just don't think they're going to get it, especially with SMU having the head-to-head. And as much as we can use would Notre Dame be favored over Miami argument right now? Sure. Then the same thing has to apply to SMU beat Miami anyway. At some point the games have to matter, right? And I'm no Notre Dame defender either, right? I'm starting to think that I get Notre Dame is a top team right now, and I think they're probably a playoff team as well. But it's going to sit in my stomach weird if Miami misses the playoff at 10-2, and then 10-2 Notre Dame squeezes in anyway because they just weren't in a conference. Notre Dame, their thing is always they play a conference. They basically play the ACC schedule. It's people's defending of them, right? And I know they had Texas A&M on there this year, and I get that, right? But if Miami's 10-2 wasn't good enough to get them in the ACC championship, and we're like, oh well, Notre Dame, they just play the ACC schedule, it's fine. You can't also use it as the ACC stinks, so Notre Dame should still be in, and then you can't use it as Miami wasn't able to make their own conference championship game. Well, then 10-2 on the ACC schedule for Notre Dame probably wasn't getting them in there either. And I get they absolutely waxed Syracuse this weekend. I get they waxed Pitt. I think right now, I would have Notre Dame as I think Notre Dame power rating wise is 100% a top 10 team right now. I think they're one of the 12 best teams in the country. But I also think the games have to matter, and it's going to sit very funky in my stomach when Miami misses the playoff at 10-2, and Notre Dame is the 7 seed at 10-2. I don't know. I don't love it, but it's going to happen. Do I think it's right? In some ways, yes. In many ways, no. It's a difficult thing because I do think Notre Dame is probably a playoff team. I think they're good. I can't deny it. As big of a Notre Dame hater as I am, I can't deny it. But also, I think the games have to matter. Why did Miami schedule Notre Dame then? If that win against them means nothing later in the season for them. And I get they messed up. They're the committee made a crazy point last week where they're we compared their losses, and Notre Dame's losses are to 2 ranked teams, and Miami's losses are to 2 unranked teams. And then one of Notre Dame's losses is Miami. So it's that's a crazy argument to make. And I get that some team Notre Dame's vastly improved to right now, but then everyone's oh, what matters more than just right now? Maybe. I don't know. I think now can date back to September. It now can be this season. Why do we play games in September then if they just don't matter? I don't know. But with that being said, I do think Notre Dame's going to be in the playoff. I think they deserve it. I think they've shown that they're one of the best teams. But I think they also showed that Miami's up there too. Does that make sense? Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I have to do this with someone else. If I had my get back coach talk to me here, that would be nice. But nope, I'm just rambling incoherently for 43 minutes about college football. Ryan Russillo teams of the week. I had Washington State. They're a statement loss team. They almost go on the road as 20-plus point underdogs to JMU, and maybe playoff team. We'll talk about them in a little bit. Statement loss right there. I don't understand why they're 20 to when JMU beats Washington State 24-20, it's viewed as a absolute disaster. We can't let them in the playoff. But when Ole Miss does the exact same thing, it's just a blip on the radar. Can't do it. And I get Ole Miss has better wins, but hey, comparable teams look the same. Got to talk about it just maybe a little bit. And then second most, my darlings, the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, statement loss to LSU. There was a moment where Western Kentucky's up 3-0 and they get a pick. I'm like, Western Kentucky's going to win this game. Guys, I was getting a little bit excited. All right. I was a little bit pumped up about it, but thus LSU ended up pulling away. Kind of a weird thing going on with Brian Kelly's kid. And I get it's senior day. He was fired up about it. I don't know why, dude. Could we not let Brian Kelly back in the stands for senior day with his let him go be on the field, take the photos with his son. Maybe he didn't want to be there. Maybe it was personal. I don't know. But Brian Kelly's kid also, he was running around being like, free BK. Free BK. He didn't do nothing wrong. Free him. Like he was this, like he's a Memphis rapper who got charged with RICO. No, he's a football who got fired and is getting paid tens of millions of dollars to sit at home right now. Free BK. He didn't do nothing wrong. We're not saying he's a criminal. We're not saying he should go to jail. I mean, no, actually, some people are saying that. Is it me? No. But some people, like, you treating him like he's young Dolph is crazy. It's a crazy move. I don't know if that was the message he was trying to get across, but it was. Or I don't know if it was misinterpreted the way he wanted it to be, but it seemed crazy at the time. The G5 update. We have a major problem with the G5 right now, guys. We have a major issue because the G5 needs to step up or they might just get rid of the spot in general. Last year, BYU was good enough where some people argued about, okay, they shouldn't be, maybe have a bye. Like, do we think we're that good? No, but no one was like, Boise shouldn't make the playoff in general, right? The G5 this year, though, has unfortunately done so much damage to themselves that they now want to get rid of the spot as a whole. I'd like to see it stay, but sometimes I can understand why. You know, like when I go make this argument of like, well, I think it will be a little upsetting if Miami, goes 10-2 and 10-2 with a win over Notre Dame and then 10-2 Notre Dame mixed playoff. It could be solved by just like, do we need to see Tulane be in the playoff after they lost by 25 to UTSA? I understand where that comes from, and I'm a G5 guy, but I get that argument makes a lot of sense. We can't do anything about it this year. A G5 team will be going to the playoff, but and I think it's going to be Tulane, unless something crazy happens. I think it's just the winner of the American Conference by now. And Jamie, here's the issue with Jamie right now is that their Louisville loss is aging poorly. I get it, and then they're also, I just don't. I don't know if there's a game in the Sun Belt that's going to put them over. They just view the Sun Belt in that way. And I don't love it. I'll be honest. Even a lot of power ratings would disagree with you. SP Plus had JMU at 26, and then they have Tulane at 53. North Texas even all the way up at 18. North Texas still kind of in the picture, but Tulane seems to be the darling of the conference right now. The winner of the Americans is going, and it's unfortunate as a JMU guy. But I don't think there's anything JMU can do anymore. I think they could win the next 3 games 100-0, and it's just. There's just nothing they can do. They can win the Sun Belt 100-0 championship game. It's blah. Most dominant performance statistically in history. And then they'd be like, yeah, Tulane. And not that Tulane doesn't deserve it, but I think, I don't know, is losing to Louisville on the road on a Friday night worse than losing to UTSA on I think it was a Thursday night by 20 plus? You tell me. I don't know. Maybe they just say screw it and they put USF back in. Maybe they just say we don't know anymore. Put North Texas in. I'm fine with that. I would allow it. But I think the G5 is in big trouble, and I don't like it. I want them to solve it. And we just need the G5. The G5 needs to like combine forces like the Power Rangers or something. Like the G5 needs to create an all-star team of 3 teams to be in the playoff, and then maybe we'll see something. But especially if the G5 representative goes to Lubbock, Texas, and they just get blown out by 40, we're going to have a really big problem. The G5 might not have a spot anymore. The committee works fast to exclude people when they get a reason to, and that would do it. And it's going to be ugly, and I don't like it, guys. We got through this quick because it's just me. I don't know if this was funny. I don't know if this was entertaining, but luckily we have somebody that might be funny or entertaining. We have voicemails, all right, to help me out. Something other than my voice. Thankfully, we'll go to the first voicemail right here.
What's up, Almost Football? It's Joey.
Oh.
I apologize for my absence this week. I am in the middle of a move, long working hours, and I'm also traveling, so it's just not a good combination for a podcast. So my sincerest apologies. Just wanted to come on and say good dub for Iowa football this weekend over Sparty. Big win I wanted to say Deuce Knight is the truth. Pay him everything, whatever we have to do to keep him out.
All right, yada. Come on, keep going. Let's get through this, buddy.
Also wanted to get my segments in here.
By the way, I'll pause it real quick. When he says, like, just wanted to come on and say, good job, Iowa football this weekend, big win over Sprite, he didn't watch a second of that game. He saw the score, and he was like, oh, yeah, good solid dub. He didn't watch what was going on. There's no way, him knowing me, that he thought I would just take this. There's no way that if he actually watched the game, that he'd be like, he knows enough football. He would be like, hey, it'd be like a little gritty, but got it done anyway. Didn't look pretty, but all that matters is that you won. He clearly did not watch it. Now we'll continue. Sorry.
Who is the 34th ranked team in Ken Palm?
Oh, that might be Iowa. Is it?
Nope. It's Ole Miss.
Oh, you tricked me.
And then I've got one trivia question for you.
Oh, boy.
We might have done this one before, so I guess we'll test your attention here, Brandon. Can you tell me what animal has the longest lifespan? I'll give you
Don't turtles live really long?
seconds.
Like a giant tortoise, maybe, or something like that.
Right,
Isn't there a
no,
tortoise like 140?
A tortoise.
What?
The Greenland shark.
How does he know all the stuff before I say them on the voicemail? How does he know everything? Maybe he doesn't know me too well. He knew I was going to guess tortoise. That's incredible.
50 years to 500 years. There you go. Thanks, guys. I miss you. I love you all. I'll see you on the next pod.
That was actually the most impressive thing Joey's ever done, was that he knew I would guess tortoise without hesitation. And it was turned out to be the Greenland shark. Thank you, Joey. I appreciate that. If I accidentally flashed his hope I didn't accidentally reveal his phone number there. I might have. Not that any of you would do anything about it, hopefully, but we'll see. We did have a follow-up on our smelling salts guy. He left 2 voicemails, which for those of you that don't know, they're 3 minutes long. The max that you can do is 3 minutes on a voicemail. He left 2 separate 3-minute voicemails. So I guess 1 3-minute voicemail. He then, the next voicemail opens up with, goodness gracious, I can't believe how long I was going, to then leave a 2-minute and 50-second voicemail. I'll just summarize it for you, since I went and listened to it, because I was like, oh, he called twice. We'll see ahead of time what he's saying. Or if one of them was, he meant to have it. You know what I mean. If you call twice, I'll probably listen to it beforehand. If you just call once, I won't. Like we had our guy call 4 times last week. I'm like, are any of these listenable? We'll see. And yes, they were. And that was a hilarious call. But this guy, he just basically said he did it. And his wife was fine with it. They didn't get divorced, but it was maybe frowned upon a little bit. I don't know. But I got an update on his team and all of his stats, and we appreciate you calling in. This is the last voicemail here.
Hey, fellas, Kevin here. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Got a couple questions for you. What is the best liquor store in the Denver area, and why is it Baby's Liquor World off of Bulls and C470? And then, you guys are using a public restroom. Would you rather have to use a toilet seat that was wet when you sit down or warm when you sit down? I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that. That was not Kevin Ward, for those of you out there, clearly. That's not his voice. Or at least, I don't know if Kevin Ward knows this show exists, if I'm being honest. I don't think Kevin knows that this even happens. I think it's completely off his radar. But first question on there, Bevy's Liquor Store in Denver, off Bulls and C470. That is that is easily the best liquor store, to my knowledge, in Colorado. It's massive. Picture like the Costco of liquor stores. Everything you can have in there. And that's also Joey's moved since then, but that was right where Joey grew up, right around there. Beautiful part of this country. Like maybe I'm going to say 15 minutes from Red Rocks Amphitheater, if you want to picture it, for those of you that have not been there. So Bevy's, if you want to go check it out. I don't know if it's like landmark material yet for Colorado, but certainly something to acknowledge. Now, here's something interesting with this second question. Would you rather use a toilet seat that was wet when you sit down or warm? And my gut is definitely leaning warm first, because I think it can be warm for a number of reasons. Like you can put the little toilet paper over the seat regardless. And that's going to generate some heat. That's going to generate something to keep it warm regardless. It might be warmer the better you take care of it, the more cleanlier the person before you was. So warm doesn't scare me as much as wet. Like wet is not only a mystery, you're like, what substance am I putting my behind on here? But I think wet is also just, it's borderline, like you can't even get comfy. You can't even enjoy yourself. Like if I just let my brain transport a little bit and I just got a semi-warm seat, it's like I can maybe, sit there, I'll get on my phone, I'll scroll Twitter for a little bit, I'm fine. But if I sit down, the seat's wet, I might get up and leave before the job's finished. Like that's a crazy move. I'm thinking it's warm by a lot. I've also, I do a lot of traveling right now. If you're in the South, or if you're in an area where there's quick trips, they're easily the best bathrooms going around right now. In terms of gas stations, in terms of you want consistent quality, the quick trip bathrooms, A+. Like, look, Buc-ee's has the best one because there's 700 stalls and urinals inside their bathrooms, right? But there's not Buc-ee's in Burlington, Vermont. I don't know if there's quick trip there either, but like there's more quick trips in this country than there are Buc-ee's, and I think their bathrooms are like when you are driving through Edmond, Oklahoma, and you see a quick trip, you're going to get a consistent product on their bathroom. So I'm going to give you that as an answer. A little 2-4 answer there. I don't know if that's what you wanted, but that's what you got, Kevin. And I appreciate you calling in, man. No trivia. No, we just got the one Ken Palm. It was Ole Miss. We got Iowa versus Ole Miss today, if you're listening to this on Tuesday. But that's all I got, guys. That was an hour solo. We made it. If you made it this far, thank you. I appreciate it. Just be patient with us, please. It won't always be just me here. It won't always just be all my random thoughts, and probably not as funny of an episode, right? I don't know if this was enjoyable or not, but I appreciate you being here, and I will be back again next week to recap Feast Week.